6 months of sacrifice. I flew to Tokyo with one goal, to run sub-3 in my first marathon. I set an aggressive goal and went for it. Physically and mentally, one of the hardest things I've ever done. Not just the race itself, but the build-up, commitment and dedication that's needed on a daily basis for that amount of time. It's like walking this constant tightrope, trying to push hard so you get adaptations, but not so much so that you under-recover and pick up injuries. And on race day, so many things can come into play. Pacing, fueling, trying not to blow up, and so much more. The fine margins add up, and I found out the hard way. Tokyo Marathon 2025, let's see how it went down. Just about made it over the finish line. In this video, I'm going to break down my Tokyo Marathon 2025. We'll talk race details, carb loading protocols, what went well, what didn't go well, and everything else in between. As we get closer to our race, it's just getting hotter and hotter and hotter. Although it'll be nice when the sun's out. Still a lot better than Indonesia. Pray for 8 degrees.
Eight hours later.
I think the flight was great, apart from that screaming baby 2 rows in front of us. Apart from that, it was smooth. I flew to Japan like 9 days before the race, and we were doing a bit of traveling with friends. I was meeting up with some people that were running Osaka Marathon, which was the week before Tokyo. So we went to Osaka. I think it was like an 8-hour flight from Bali to Japan. Went to Osaka. I watched Simon, one of my friends, run Osaka Marathon, which was an unbelievable experience. Welcome to Japan, baby. This is what we came for, the main event.
I don't know what this is. Like, it feels like you need to
Nice and cold marathon weather.
In Sweden, they have like a.
It doesn't have any like.
Oh, they sell them one by one as well, so you don't have to buy the package. Yeah, the queue is massive.
It's like running, going like. Can have a fork.
Let's go.
Let's go.
What is this?
Japanese pancake.
Japanese pancake.
Okonomiyaki. Which one did you pick?
I got double jump.
I'll take the double chocolate and the dark chocolate.
Inception. Bro's trying to buy from the women's stocks so that they're extra tight for the photographers. Super Blast on deck. Thank you, bro. It is cold. Boys getting their protein fixing.
6 minutes is easy. You're like the dad I never had.
We running Osaka.
Osaka!
I would guess it. There he is. Black hat, corner, boom. Now it's coming.
Yeah, Simon!
Go Simon! Let's go Simon! Visa kuken! Visa kuken! Chasing the metro around Osaka.
I'm looking at Simon's current trajectory is 2:39.36, so it's sub 2:40.
He ran 2:39, and he was one of the first people that really introduced me to running, and one of the people that sort of inspired me to start running. So that was epic to see, and that watching that marathon really did light a fire inside of me. And at that point I was like, okay, fast forward to next week because I want to run. From then it was eating lots of carbs. We were doing a bit of running here and there, a few shakeouts. I had a bit of a workout to complete as well, I think 5 or 6 days out. But yeah, we were just sort of exploring Japan, eating lots of carbs, raiding 7-Elevens, eating some sushi, enjoying the trip. Last mini workout of the block, testing out the race shoes, race kit for racing Sunday. Today's just about getting some turnover into the legs. We're going slightly faster than race pace so that hopefully race pace feels a bit easier on the day. So we've done a 2.5k warm up, and then we're just going to do some 400s just so that it isn't too taxing on the body. We've got the meta speeds on deck. They're feeling good. Interested to see how they feel at the faster paces. I've only tested them on the treadmill so far. 4 days out basically. Nerves and excitement starting to kick in.
What is the mindset?
The mindset, I feel like I'm ready for it, and I've put a good block of work in over the past few months. Of course, it's completely unknown, this distance and how the body's going to react after 30 kilometers, but I think the training that we've done will help us achieve the target. The goal is just to leave it all out there, have fun, and don't blow up. Just excited for that experience, because obviously we went and watched you in the Osaka last week, and excited to experience that feeling and the vibe around the marathon. So let's see what we can do.
Let's do it.
They didn't even feel fast. Feels smooth, making sure that there is no injuries cropping up. With the taper this week, everything is feeling sore. It's normal to an extent. I feel like I've never ran before. Yeah, I think they were a decent bit faster, but 400s today, rest tomorrow, bit of a shakeout on Saturday before the race. Won't be anything crazy, a couple of Ks, a few strides, and then get the carbs in. Try and stay off the feet, because I think the past few days we've averaged like 25,000 steps, which is less than ideal. Shoes feel great. Yeah, I'm like floating. I think the taper is coming to fruition.
Guys, now we have 60 minutes until we need to check out.
Yeah, so we should jog back.
Like sub-3 pacing group. Ideally, when we get to the 21 kilometer mark, I'm going to take every one of them.
Well, they're everywhere in Bali.
Food will get them. I think the
Yummy.
When was the last time we did skateboard? That's actually cool as fuck, man.
Came here to get his own room and you just ruined it.
And from then it was trying to just stay off the feet as much as possible, which is difficult in Japan because you walk everywhere, and I think I was averaging probably like 20 to 25,000 steps most days without even trying, which was probably less than ideal for the marathon prep. I think it's trying to find that balance between enjoying your trip and your holiday, but also trying to stay a bit fresh for the race on Sunday. We had a bit of a shakeout run on the Saturday. We went to Jake, ran to Japan, the famous. Here with the legend, ran to Japan. So I'm running my first marathon tomorrow.
Oh really, David?
Yeah, what advice would you give me?
Say, especially with it being a Japanese run, take it easy at the start. It's dangerous territory, just how quick everyone go off. And it's like downhill, sort of 6K or so. So you just want to be feeling so easy. Like you literally feel like you're cruising till at least halfway.
Yeah, so I think I'm going to go out at like 4:12, and then hopefully you can get to like the half, and then bring it up to like maybe like 4:08.
Keep rolling. I mean, if you've been doing it in the heat, tomorrow, too bad if you compared to like, yeah,
I'm hoping,
yeah.
I'm hoping, but it's starting to get a bit warm for us
It
now.
is a little toasty. Whack the sun cream on. I'll be factor 50.
Both of us will need the factor 50.
I think even today, I'm like, I'm gonna be burning in this. Nah, good luck for it.
Friday, Saturday were the days that we were getting the carbs in. I consumed more white rice than you can imagine, and I think there was 1 or 2 Krispy Kremes in there for good measure. Japan is the perfect place for a carb load. So we focused on 3 things. This helped me execute it close to a T. The first one was keeping protein and fats really low so that we didn't spill over calories, so that we could push carbs that bit more to avoid any sort of digestion issues. You want to pick foods that are low satiety, digest easy, and that you can get a lot of them in. And ran, I think, 950 grams of carbs both of them days. The majority of them came from white rice, bread, bagels, English muffins, liquid calories, carb drinks. So all options that are really low in fat, low in protein, but high in carb, and really easy to digest, which is the main takeaway from that, as opposed to massive meals where I was then left feeling bloated, just completely full, where I didn't want to eat again. Biggest thing to take forward there is, if you're trying to carb load for a race, eat lots of white rice or cream of rice or something along those lines. Easiest carb source to digest, bit of salt and honey on there, and you are good to go. Finished. We in business.
ただいま皆さんにお送り
Crayons if you want.
donating me some carbs so I run a PB.
You've never run a marathon, so no matter what, it's a PB.
But yeah. Whatever you do, man. As long as just...
Unless you DNF.
That is a possibility. This one's good.
When you see Liam on the course, yell out, "Don't DNF, Liam!"
Relax your shoulder, don't DNF. You'll not miss me.
You will.
If I wore them shorts, it'll be hard to miss me on the course. But my shorts were also short. Maybe not this short for sure, but probably 1 inch longer.
Speaking with the coach the day before, and based on where my fitness was at and based on the target that we had set, initially it was to run a sub-3, but when we sort of dialed that down and how my training was going and what I really wanted to do was to run a 2:55. That was the A goal. The B goal was to run a sub-3, and then the C goal was just to not blow up.
It is a 5k downhill in the beginning, so I mean that would mean like if you're running the first half at like 4:12 on average, then do the first 5k at like 4:10 or something like that. So nothing crazy, but just you can just
use it to our advantage.
Yeah, a little bit. So you have a few seconds there. I think key here is like try to be around here the first half, try to be around here the second half, not faster than this, but also not so much slower than this, and then the outcome will be good. At the 40 mark, you're allowed to send it as much as you can. Now it looks like it's gonna be quite warm.
Yeah.
Make sure that you drink today and tomorrow morning, and you always get greedy right in the end. But I mean, like speaking from experience, I know what happens when you get too greedy, too aggressive, and that fucking sucks, right? Stick to your plan, your routine, and and not for anyone else. Like Instagram, but try to sort of remove those external factors and just sort of the test, right? Your journey.
I think I'm ready for it. Ideally, maybe a bit of a higher mileage across a number of weeks, and like actually hitting these paces in the heat would have been okay. Then you've probably a lot more confidence, and like there would be no anxieties. But it's my first race, so it's part of the game. Not knowing exactly what's going to happen, but we trust what we've done. And
the build has been great. There's always a few bumps in a build like that. It's been better than I was like expecting, especially considering that you have like issues with your tendon and your hamstring and all of that. But you've been able to run so much, which has been great. It is lined up. Now it's just go out there and get it.
Race morning, I think we woke up at around 5:30 a.m. and the goal was to eat straight away so that the digestion process could get started. I had 2 rice balls, which were like 45 grams of carbs each. I had 2 carb drinks from 7-Eleven, which were another 45 grams of carbs each. So I think it was like close to 200 as soon as I woke up, along with some black coffee so that I could eventually go to the toilet.
ready to rock.
I thought that I was going to be able to maybe hang on to a group, but it was largely a bit crazy. Everyone was kind of just running at different paces, and I didn't really find a sort of solid core group to run with. It was like I essentially ran the whole race by myself, but the goal was to run like around a 4:09, 4:10 pace for the first maybe 2 or 3 5k splits, and then maybe to go a bit more conservative in that middle part of the race where I knew that it was going to start to get difficult. So they say that the marathon starts at the 30-kilometer mark, and for me it was shortly after that, and I knew that I did expect things to get difficult, and that's one thing that we did discuss with my coach, is that you're going to be in a world of pain, that it was normal to feel like this is really hard and that my body was going to be pushed to places that it hadn't been before, physically and mentally. It was going to be a question, you know, when I did hit that 30+ kilometer mark, do I have it and can I sustain that?
Good job, man. Thank you. Good job. Congrats.
Wasn't to be. Sniper got me. Cramps. Cramps in both hamstrings. Often crawled over the finish line. Lessons learned. Respect the marathon distance. On to the next one.
Okay.
Rest in peace.
Just about made it over the finish line. It was completely unknown how my body was going to react, which definitely did cause a bit of anxiety. And I suppose that's the beauty of the marathon. If it was so set in stone that, okay, I've done this training, I am this prepared, I'm going to be able to run this time, it wouldn't be as interesting, or there wouldn't be that excitement, or it wouldn't be fun. So like I said, it was the 35k and 36k and beyond where I did start to break down, and cramps absolutely killed me. Got sniped. Hamstring was a bit. So I'm just going to pull up some of my stats and breakdowns from Strava and Garmin and just look at essentially how the race went. So we will look at each of my splits. So I set up my watch to break it down into 5 kilometer splits. First 5 kilometer split, I ran 4:10 per kilometer. Second was 4:11. The third was 4:09. And the fourth was 4:11 again. And then from there, it was 4:12, 4:13, 4:13. And I think at this point we were at the 35 kilometer mark and everything was going smooth. We were on target. And then I felt the early onsets of cramps and I felt a bit of fatigue in my hamstrings. It was close to cramping. So from there, I just tried to slow down the pace a bit, tried to focus a bit more on my stride length, increase cadence. I was also very, very thirsty at that point, and I think the aid stations were like every 5 kilometers. So I was on the lookout for some water, and I think at one point I was running up one of the stretches and I was actually running close to where all the supporters and sort of everyone was standing, and I was kind of like hinting at like, someone please give me water, because I was severely dehydrated, and I think the weather on that day definitely did have an impact. So we had done our training in the months leading up to it here in Bali, which is very hot and humid. I think it's like averaging 32 degrees Celsius with the humidity being absolutely through the roof. So the goal was to go to Japan and run in the colder conditions. And I think every day that we were in Japan, and this is sort of the standard for early March, I think it was between like 1 to 5 degrees. that definitely had an impact, and I think I was able to handle that heat well compared to a lot of people because I'd been training here. But for sure, I think on a colder day, that definitely might have made a couple of minutes of a difference. You know, probably did impact hydration, electrolyte balance, and also fatigue. Your body essentially has to work harder to cool yourself down. But like I said, that wasn't part of the plan. That is just an excuse, and there's plenty more of them. But I think overall, I just wasn't conditioned enough for it, and I just didn't have the mileage, I didn't have the sort of conditioning, the speed in the legs, and the experience really. And it probably takes me going through that first marathon to sort of get the adaptations needed to run that distance at that pace. And that's part of the journey, you know, and that's something that I am taking forward. Like, I can't expect to get from A to B. Starting to run a year ago and sort of start training for my first marathon 6 months ago and just go straight to running 255. You know, I understand that it is a journey and there is stepping stones that I have to take. So yeah, going back to when I felt the sort of early onsets of cramps, my right hamstring, so I started clutching it. I literally couldn't walk. Yeah, I probably stopped for like 20-30 seconds there, and then I was able to pick it back up into a bit of a walk, a bit of a jog, and from there I started to get a bit frustrated with myself because I knew that the goal was going to start to slip away. At the 38.5 kilometer mark, it cramped again, and then this time it was a lot worse, and I found myself on the ground clutching my hamstring, screaming. And at that point I didn't even think that I was going to be able to finish the race, or that it was going to be a case of that I walked to the finish. I was on the ground clutching my hamstring for probably 15-20 seconds, and a guy who was running, who was probably on for a sub-3 or was probably on for a strong time, stopped and started operating on me. So he started massaging my hamstring, he started punching me, he started squeezing the muscle, giving me a bit of a pep talk, and he saved the day for me. I didn't even get his bib number, but what a legend, stopping. Anyone that has cramped in the hamstring before knows that you're in a world of pain, and I could barely move, never mind walk or run at a 4:12 or 4:10 pace. But I was able to get back up and walk, and then I was able to start to pick up to a bit of a jog again. But it was at that point I knew that the 255 or the sub-3 wasn't going to be achievable, and the mental battle at that point and the demons that I was sort of facing in my head was, I'm never doing this again. This is so hard. Am I even going to finish? Should I just DNF? And then obviously it was a bit of frustration because I was going to narrowly miss out on my goal, because I was able to add up, you know, how much the next 2 kilometers or whatever was going to take me, and I knew that I was so close, but it just wasn't going to be achievable because the hamstring just wasn't working. Yeah, from probably considering the DNF to running a 3:02 and again narrowly missing out on the goal, which was very, very frustrating. But looking back, and after a few days, after the dust had settled, I realised that it was a really good time and that it was a good block of work done. And to be honest, like even if I did run 255 or sub-3, 258, 259 or whatever it is, I probably would have been satisfied for a bit, and then it would have been okay, what's next? And I want to run 250, I want to run 245. That can be a bit toxic at times where it's just always what's the next thing. You need to go through these sort of, not setbacks as such, but just milestones really to sort of learn, to understand how the marathon works, to understand how the training works, to understand how your body can react to sort of different amounts of volume, different amounts of intensity, and it's part of the journey. And yeah, of course, race day is a great experience, especially done in Japan at a major with friends around me running. But really, it's about the journey, the months leading up to it, the training, the structure, the routine, to sort of stay on plan, and the mini progressions that you make along the way, the lessons that you learn about yourself. The goal was maybe slightly too aggressive, but I don't regret that. I always said, even if I do fall slightly short of that goal, at least we will hit a really good time, and it will be a PB regardless. It just wasn't enough on the day, and that's fine, you know, and I'll take the lessons to move forward from that. Probably a year ago, I wouldn't have dreamt of running the marathon, and it was certainly something that I wouldn't have wanted to do. And I used to look at running that way, where why would you want to run? Why would you want to torture yourself? And now we are already planning our next, and it's a big part of my life because of the structure and the routine that it has brought me, the mental benefits that come along with that, and the mini progression that you see along the way, and something to work towards every single day. Yeah, the next big one is Valencia full in December, so that is the main goal moving forward, and that is something that we have one eye on already. We will be back for Sub-3, we will be back for 255 and more, hopefully. And like I said, take all the lessons from this build, from the Tokyo Marathon race day, and bring them forward. And I know what I need to do.